So this is going to be one of those slightly weirder experiences for you. I was presented a code for a game called Fireplace, and it's not really a game, it's more of a simulation thing, something to run in the background to look like a fireplace and to relax to. I wasn't sure how I would show this off until I went to town the other day and found a book. So I've decided to show the fireplace off while reading 50 Shades of Grey. Yes, sheds. It does come with a warning on the back. Warning, this book contains graphic shed-based images. Please don't look if you are easily offended. Thankfully, I'll only be reading the book to you for your own safety, as well as I don't want to get this video demonetized. You best strap in because, to be honest, even I don't know what to expect at this point. Mr. Grey? I keep telling you, Olivia. Call me Colin. Mr. Grey sounds so formal. Now, what is it? There's someone down here in the lobby, Mr. Grey. She says she needs to see you. She says it's urgent. I bite my lip, pensively. She? It must be a woman. What? What's her name? Does she have an appointment? No, Mr. Grey, and she won't tell me her name, but she's very insistent. She says she knows you. I gaze out of the 20th floor window at the vast, sprawling metropolis from behind my vast, sprawling desk and frown. Who could it be? Very well, I reply eventually. Send her up. Yes, Mr. Grey. I lay the receiver back on its cradle. As I await my mysterious visitor, my steel grey eyes roll around my vast, sprawling office, entirely white from floor to ceiling, apart from a mosaic of small monochrome photographs hanging on the opposite wall. My 50 Shades of Grey. One of the pictures catches my attention, and my manly lips curve upwards into a wistful smile. I can still feel my knuckles rapping lightly on the heavy oak door of Mellor's Manor. There was no reply. I noticed a thick red rope hanging limply on the lintel. I gave it a nervous tug. The door flung open instantly, and my eyes were met for the very first time by the shapely, mature figure of Lady Christina Mellors. She was a good 15 years older than me, but even at my tender age I felt something stir. I coughed and, in a timid voice, inquired as to whether there might be any work she needed doing in the grounds of the manor. Her eyes widened, and she informed me that her gardener had left for the summer, on gardening leave, apparently, and that with Lord Mellors also away, hunting rare tribes in the Amazon, her garden was in a desperate need of a jolly good seeing to. Before I had time to reply, she grabbed my arm and led me to the garden shed. A shed that would change my life forever. My heart raced to see her lush, overgrown lawn. Such a rare and wondrous sight. Nowadays, the tendency is for just a small strip, or no lawn at all. I emptied the small water butt for the 15th time that day and collapsed, exhausted, into my shed. I like big butts, and I cannot lie. It was damp, uncomfortable, and didn't last very long. But it's true what they say. You never forget your first shed. Lady Christina bit her lip as she eyed my dripping brush. Somehow I knew it wouldn't be long before I was touching up her gazebo. My eyes watered as I howled in pain. I had learned my first lesson. Never again would I leave a gnome on the garden bench. Things continued in this playfully innocent fashion, until one particularly hot afternoon, Lady Christina could wait no longer. Without a word, she grasped me firmly by the hand and led me up the garden path. That fateful day, I went into the shed a boy and came out a man. I lay back exhausted, gazing happily out of the shed window. Despite my concerns about my inexperience, my rhubarb had come up a treat. From that first encounter, I was hooked. I just couldn't get enough of sheds and mowers, or S&M for short. I sigh deeply and take a sip of my water. That unforgettable encounter in Lady Christina's garden changed me forever. It left me with a lifelong love of sheds and a fear of women. That very day, I resolved to leave home, find a job, and satisfy my cravings as soon as possible. I lean forward in my large leather chair, scanning the other photographs until finally my eyes rest on the one I'm looking for. The first shed I ever owned. Not much to look at on the outside, but filled with many happy memories. Well, memories. I stared longingly through the shed window and adjusted my trousers. The sight of her dewy, unsightly, unkempt lawn had awoken my inner gardener. Over the next few years, I brought an array of weird and wonderful young women to my shed with varying degrees of failure. She stood before me, trembling and naked in my shed. "I'm all yours for the night," she gasped. "You can do whatever you want with me." So I took her to Nando's. What? I do have one fetish, I admitted. MILFs. Mowers I'd like to fix. She gazed, wide-eyed, at the cans stacked precariously against the crimson shed wall. "Welcome," I announced proudly, "to the Red Room of Paint. Meet me in the shed in half an hour wearing only your Wellingtons." I sighed and put the phone down. I hated these late-night booty calls. "Put on this rubber suit and mask," I instructed calmly. Kinky," she purred. "Yes," I said. "Plus you can't be too careful with all the asbestos in the shed roof." "No," she sighed, gazing sadly at the large stuffed crust Hawaiian with extra cheese. "I said I'm really turned on by orders from dominance." "I think it's time for us to take things to the next level," she said eagerly. "What?" I replied. "The shed roof?" We stood alone on the idyllic white beach. She shed her clothes. I shed my inhibitions. At that moment, I knew it would always be about sheds. Okay, so there's a lot more to that book, and I feel like I've got the point across. Fireplace is actually pretty neat, and a good background thing for just relaxing or doing readouts like this. But I hope you enjoyed. This was also to test my compressor to its limits. It's actually done really well at being able to heighten the lows and dampen the highs. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope it gave you something interesting to listen to, even if it was pretty ridiculous. Let's say 50 Shades of Grey parody about sheds. So, you know, you can only get so far with that, I imagine. So I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Probably not for this. I mean, unless you enjoyed this, we'll see. Either way, guys, thanks for watching. Take care, and goodbye.